Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
You know, it's often been said, you are what you eat, and also you are what you think. And we're going to deal with the latter today. What you're thinking is what's actually happening in your life. And you might not realize it. Your words are really like a magical sword that kind of chart your future, and it's all going on there. She has seen it happen many times before and has worked with people on so many different levels as a psychologist, a hypnotherapist, and so much more. And she's back with us today. She is Dr. Ann Creekmore. Welcome back, Ann. How are you?
Fine, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. And yeah, this whole thing with the words, kind of your GPS of your future, is it loosely manifesting whether you want to or not when you think certain things, when you say certain things? And you could be saying those things to yourself. You're not even speaking them, you're thinking them. Is that all the same kind of thing?
Exactly. Yes, you made a good point with that, because we think that maybe if we're putting out our thoughts that are good, that we're creating from that. But if we're putting out negative thoughts, we're also creating that as well. It kind of innocently, without our intention. But if we're having feelings and emotions about it, then we are creating that. There's a lot that's been shown, like in quantum physics, where we're all energy and we're impacting on each other on an energetic level as well. And so that what we do here may be affecting there. We talked earlier about how, cognitive behavioral therapy is considered to be the most effective form of therapy, cognitive meaning thoughts. And that essentially what happens is not so much as that what's happening to us, the event, but what we say to ourselves, our cognitions, our thoughts create actually our feelings or our passion, and then create how we behave based on that. And then, of course, how we behave is going to affect our outcome in our situations. So what we say is very important. And I think almost all the religions, that words are considered very important, to have power, essentially. Just to go to, religion, the Christian religion with the Bible, it's like, the word is creating everything. And so we have to remember that our word is creating our lives. And I think it was Emerson who said that the measure of man's mental health or happiness is his ability to see good everywhere. And that's it in a nutshell. That if we can see and put out the good, that will be out picturing in our lives.
Wow. How do you know if you're doing it? You really need to analyze every thought, obviously everything you speak to others, and even if you're speaking out loud to yourself alone, looking in a mirror, whatever it might be. How do you know that you're putting not the good stuff out there? You might not be aware of it.
Right. So you really have to take time to listen to yourself. Like, what voicemails are you leaving yourself? Right. And listen to them and then evaluate them. Like, well, would I say that to a friend or family member, or even maybe an enemy? Maybe not, so that would kind of give you a clue. Wow, I shouldn't be saying that to myself if I wouldn't say that to, encourage a friend or someone.
Where do you start? How do you refocus, reframe your thoughts and your mindset for all of this?
Right. Well, I think it starts with, there's like 3 steps to change. The first step is awareness, just starting to be aware of what you're doing.
Sure.
And looking at yourself. And then the second step is acceptance, just being willing to accept that's where you are and what you're doing. And then you can make some changes after that. Because if you kind of deny it, or your defense mechanisms are getting in the way and you're not really, accepting it or aware of it, then you can't do anything about it.
Is it more of a process of less of the negative and just throw in more of the positive? So I think we always have negative thoughts. They're always going to be bubbling under there. It's just the way we're wired. We talked about that before. Is it more of a, you can't get away from an occasional negative thought, so let's counteract it with much more positivity, looking at every situation in more of a positive light, looking at everything with a positive lens. Is that a better way to go?
Exactly. It's kind of like if you're in a situation, you're frustrated, you can ask yourself, hey, how can I see this differently? What can I see? What can be good in this situation? And just kind of be with that. Be looking at that. This is, sometimes things happen for, as we say, for a reason or purpose. And we're maybe slowed down for a reason to stop and look at something that's going to be better for us that we wouldn't have if this didn't happen. So we can kind of say, hey, how can I see this differently? How can I move into my good now?
What's the starting point?
The starting point?
Yeah, for all of
Probably,
us.
it's a good, tell me, what do you mean by that? What do you
Well,
think? Tell
so
me what
it, me personally, I've reframed to be more positive, at least try. Life is not easy all the time. There's
right.
challenges that come up all the time. But I think that's working for me, but it's a process. It's, and I'm talking, I started that maybe 3 years ago to be more positive, but there's always things going on there. Is the starting point manifesting? Is it positive affirmations? I'm looking for the plan A, plan B, plan C, but step by
Right.
step. Yeah.
So what has seemed to work for you, Steve, and what do you think about that? I mean, like you're saying, like you're reframing, right? And like looking at things, seeing them from the positive when things occur and catching your negative thoughts, right? How does that seem to work for you?
Uh, a more positive outlook, but it's always a work in progress because
Right.
things will come up and you might look at the negative, but I can say this. I've learned that you could be in a negative frame of mind and one quick thought can turn it all around. And it could be the
Exactly.
simplest, littlest thought. Um,
Right.
there was a term, I saw this in a post. Glimmer. They call them
Mhm.
glimmers. And I guess that comes from the term glimmer of hope. But
Oh,
the little
mhm.
glimmers, if something just a little tiny positive thing like, I'm going to eat my lunch outside today. It's beautiful. It's going to make me feel good. It's a little tiny thing that just like beep, perks you
Right.
up just a
Right.
little bit. You could be having the worst day ever. It happens. It's going to
Right.
happen. Be prepared. It's going to
Right.
happen. So those little glimmers can move you forward along your day. That's what I'm learning. That's what I'm seeing. It's just just kind of reframe as much as you can the positive stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. I like that. What comes to my mind is gratitude. If you can come from a place of gratitude at all times,
Hmm.
then, or in other words, you put your mind, like you just said, you were putting your mind on, this is a beautiful day. I can go outside. I'm so grateful that I can go out and have my lunch or get a walk. It's a really sunny, nice day, comfortable day. And so that is gratitude. You're being grateful for what you have, and then you're moving into your good with it. Like you said, just at the moment, just try to look at whatever is happening and be grateful for what it is. Um, and for example, I mean, one time I was at a doctor's office with my daughter, and I forget what about, some checkup or whatever, and we were just waiting forever. And then this lady just started talking to us out of the blue, and I said, hey, I want to see this differently, and I'm a spiritual person, so I said, Holy Spirit, help me see this differently and see what good is here. And then as soon as I said that, this lady next to us said, when she wants to go to graduate school, you should just, let her take the loans. So she's invested in it, because for regular college, middle class, you're paying for your children's. I did. I tried to pay for my children's colleges and all that. And she said, just let her, so she'll be really invested in her graduate school. And I was like, that's weird, where did this lady is telling me this? But then it was extremely good advice. It was like, something out of the blue, good that came, and we talked about, said like, hey, let's just do it that way, that way, if you really want to do this, you'll put your money, your energy, your money where your mouth is, so to speak. And so, you never know what's going to happen when you just say, hey, this is a frustrating thing. I'm sitting here for an hour not getting to my doctor's appointment, but there's some good going to happen from this. What good is coming, And if you live that, you just be open to the new good thing.
And maybe live more in the moment.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Like, I can give you an example. I have a doctor's appointment today, kind of important one. It takes a long time to get, certain appointments. My daughter goes to school in the afternoon. My son was supposed to take her. He's sick. So I was like, all right, well, how am I going to make that appointment? And I was like trying to come up with a solution, kind of worrying about it. Like, all right, how am I going to do this? Who's available? What time do you get off work? Or, reaching out to a friend, and it all didn't jive. And then just somebody randomly, I was talking with them and I said, yeah, I'm just trying to figure this out. And they're like, yeah, no problem. I got it. I'm like, why did I worry about it? It would have probably presented itself anyway. So here I am last night, instead of just enjoying the evening, never take any chill time. And that was, but now I'm on my phone, not to worry about it. And you talk about, the reminders of gratitude. Driving here today, I look up and I see a gentleman on a motorized scooter, and he wasn't that old. And obviously he has mobility issues, and here he is on a scooter. And you think about it, here's a guy, again, he wasn't like 80, or 90. He actually looked healthy, but he's got challenges.
Right.
Well, we can walk. So be grateful for that.
Exactly.
And also send a prayer to him, whatever you believe in the religion. I'm not even going there with religion. I'm talking about send a positive vibe. What's a prayer? Positive vibe. Just throw that out, hey, because we're all energy.
Right. Exactly. Right. And you don't have to go to one religion, because they're all, God is love, God is good, God is in everyone and everything, and we're provided for. And that's, where we can come from to just, as you said, you look at that and say, thereby, I'm not in that situation. I'm doing great. My health is good, and then it can just move you more into your good health.
On this same street, I don't know what it is about this street. And by the way, I'm not super religious, but I will say he was motoring just past a church. Maybe there's something there. It's a church that it's a church that I used to go to and used to read at, and I made some changes. But on this same street, this memory just came back. A couple of weeks ago, driving down the street, there's a woman who looks like she's been through cancer treatment. And you see her collecting cans and things, and she gets the deposit on them. I'm driving down the street. I just stop, pull over to the side, and I was going to take out and give her some money. I don't care. Let her have it. She needs it.
Wonderful.
Why the heck not? As I'm pulling over, another guy's pulling over. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm going to help this woman over here. He goes, well, I was going to help her too. I was like, oh, what are you doing? He goes, well, I was going to put her stuff in the back of my truck and take her, wherever she needs to go. I was like, well, I'm going to give her some money, so it's less of a burden on her. And then we did. And that was it. But it's weird.
So beautiful.
It was the same street that I just saw this other guy that I'm mentioning. Kind of weird.
Right.
I don't think there's.
And he kind of signaled you to, to be at that level, and notice that that's your old church, and, just to get to that. So that's perfect.
Maybe there's something there. I don't believe there are coincidences. I think that there's something with that street, or me driving on the street, or whatever. Who knows? But it's the gratitude thing is what we're talking about here. Thinking about even those, and we've talked before about gratitude journals, writing those things that you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be big momentous things. And yes, many of us first thing we write, grateful for family and things like that. Yeah, go deeper though. There's so much more. Of course that's the top, but if you got to do it every single day, there will be little things that pop up. Even I'm grateful it's sunny and I'm gonna eat lunch outside. It'll make me feel good. Well,
exactly. And they have found through the scientific research, I think I mentioned this some other time we were talking, that they found that your serotonin, your positive mood neurotransmitter, actually is elevated by cognitive behavioral therapy, by positive self-talk. that your serotonin will actually increase like it does with an antidepressant. So you actually are, putting yourself in a good mood when you do that. So,
Why? Because we can. We are wired that way. We weren't wired to take medication. Nothing wrong with that.
no, not if you need something. No.
Yeah. But there are things that you can do on your own, to make
Exactly.
it better.
Why not go to the natural first and see if you can get there that way? And if you can't, then you're lucky to have medication. You'd be grateful to have that. So.
And there you go. There's another reason to be grateful. How about some other things that when we talk about our words really shaping our lives? Any other thoughts there?
Let's see. Well, one thing I was thinking to talk a little bit about today was dream interpretation, kind of like your words. In a sense, when you dream, we think in words, and then we problem solve in words when we're awake. And then when we're unconscious, when we're at our subconscious level, which some people can be at when they're awake, but that we're seeing in kind of pictures and symbols as well for the words. And so those words, our subconscious picture forms of our words, can also be very important and very healing.
How would you approach that? Let's say you're going to sleep. It's what you're thinking about. It's kind of gonna, kind of dictate.
It's perfect, Steve. You're always picking up on what I was getting to. And I wasn't even getting to it. But before you go to sleep, it's good to kind of program yourself, if as to what you'd like to have dreams about, to problem solve, or to have guidance, or just to discharge energy or whatever on a topic. And that you can do that before you go to sleep. You can kind of say, hey, I want to remember my dreams. I want to get some guidance tonight from my subconscious, from, if you will, divine consciousness, if you're open to that, you're going to theta, and to get more information. And I want to, I'd like to have a dream that helps me figure out what I can do about this back pain I have, or whatever you want to do. And then you may, if you can remember your dreams, maybe have a little pad next to you with a pen and jot a little title or a couple of little symbols in it, or and so you remember it and don't turn your head right away and get up. Then, you may be getting some guidance in a picture form. It's like a movie form describing an answer to what you need.
I love that, because I've got a friend who has anxiety, and it's better now. However, she tells me she wakes up every night in the middle of the night with a full-blown anxiety attack, just like she wakes up and it's thinking about the things from the day. Could be the littlest thing. Got to take my daughter here later. Got to do this. Got to do those little things all stack up. So maybe starting to think of positive things before you go to sleep might counteract that and move that away for others that are, dealing with that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And maybe, needing some downtime before bed, like maybe having a cutoff for all news, all problems, everything, several hours before going to sleep. So your mind is in a more peaceful place. And then there are certain things that, I know the integrative psychiatrist would recommend that does bring your anxiety level down, ashwagandha, that is in something called Sleep Tonight, which is very effective, because then your cortisol level doesn't start rising in the middle of the night. So there's different things, a little homeopathic melts, natural things. I'm talking first before you go to get more if you need it. But sleep hygiene, having your room cool so you don't get overheated, wake up in the middle of the night, having it dark, don't do the screen time before, or wear some kind of glasses that prevent that light effect that it has on you. And then maybe if you need to, take something that, is a calming, some chamomile tea or sleepy time tea or whatever, to start with natural things to kind of bring your anxiety down. I mean, I know not everybody gets a dopamine rush from thinking about some task that they can take care of. That's a joke because my son says that to me. He says, Mom, not everybody gets a dopamine rush out of thinking of
But
some
I
task.
get it. But I get it.
So,
I will get excited about, let's say, setting up a new computer, or
right.
like before I left today, I was setting up an old Amazon Echo, Alexa. And
Uh-huh.
I was having some issues with it, but I was running out of time. So what am I doing tonight? I'm going home and I'm going to get that thing fixed. So yeah, I
That's
get a little rush
fun.
because it's a
That's
it's a
right.
feeling of accomplishment, getting it done.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, some people move forward with stress, and I'll be one of those as well, and some people really like to withdraw from stress. And, when they get under stress. So it may be if a person, like for me, to have think of something like, oh, I'd like to just let my unconscious process whatever problem I've got, think about it before bed. My intention is I'm going to get some guidance in a dream. Now that would make me relax, but that not make somebody else relax too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Somebody else may just want to completely, turn off that. But I would believe I would be getting the good out of it and it would work for me
Sure. And you
and
know
for a
what?
lot of people.
We
Mhm.
all look at stress as a bad thing, but stress can be a motivator as well.
Exactly.
We need some stress. I'm looking over here. Yeah, I do see it. Hang on one sec. One of these, I have sprays for just what we're
Uh-huh.
talking about.
Right.
Aromatherapy, and there's a tincture I've got around here somewhere that has ashwagandha and kava kava.
Oh,
Those two
nice.
I've heard, and that comes from an herbalist, a Native American herbalist,
Uh-huh.
all organic stuff she does.
Nice.
But yeah, I find that stuff does work. If you want to try something else.
Absolutely. Something, yeah, lavender and just stuff that calms you before bed. But then, if you know that you're going to get this guidance, that can be exciting. Like, hey, I can't wait to go to sleep so I can get something that's going to give me some answers to something, and that can be good too.
And I just had this talk with my daughter, about an hour ago, because she says, "Yeah, I haven't been sleeping well. I don't know what it is." Her schedule changed as well. But I said, "Got to shut off your phone and we'll put it in the other room." She goes, "No, everybody always says that." I said, "It's not about the screen time. They're doing studies that the EMF, the electromagnetic
That too,
frequency
right,
emission coming from devices can
right,
have an effect. So when you're sleeping and it's
exactly,
next, because she'll be FaceTiming or scrolling, whatever, and then go to sleep and it's right next to you. You've got this thing emitting while you're sleeping. So
right, exactly.
try it
And
for a couple of days.
right. And you can also get on Amazon, and I'm not saying that it's not good to put it away. Of course it is. But, you can get those EMF protectors and put them on all your devices as well. Like you can get everything on Amazon today.
Hmm.
Put them on your iPad and your phone and everything, just in case you forget and it's still sleeping next to you.
Yeah, I never
But
even thought of that.
yeah,
There's another
because it's
thought.
protection. It supposedly works. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is
Helps.
all the stuff that you work with people on. If they're having challenges in life that is giving them stress or preventing them from sleeping, all of this on all different levels. I love what you bring in your tool chest, I call it, because it's almost like, what do you need? I got it right over here. And you pull it down. Hypnotherapy, it could be from a psychological standpoint, all of that. Not everybody has that to offer. Yeah. So if somebody is dealing with that, they just reach out to you.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. How do we find you, Anne?
I'm. You can go to my website, Psychologist in Virginia. It's all spelled out. Psychologist with an S plural in Virginia spelled out.com,
Hmm.
and that would have all my information on it, my phone, email, so on. I'm in Virginia.
Yep. And you also have an alias as AP Filosa, and
Right. My
right?
book is in my maiden name, and that's AP Velosa. F is in Frank, I, L is in Lou, O, S is in Sam, A. I know no one can really spell that. Um, and uh, and so is Italian. And so that would be my book, Love Yourself, Love Your Life. And it kind of summarizes and combines most of the main schools of thought in therapy and psychology, with fusing in some of the positive psychology or spiritual psychology as well. And and I also have CDs that or MP3s that are for the hypnosis, for anxiety, depression, addiction, sleep. Or I have another one for dissociative disorders, because a lot more people have that, are on the spectrum of that. We know there's all these spectrums now, not just a far out kind of piece of things.
Sure.
And so there's another one that I have on that for the hypnosis, turning, your own meditation, putting the positive affirmations in.
Yeah, it's all help is available.
Absolutely, yes.
And good help. And we talked about Amazon. Even if you do a search of A.P. Filosa, you'll find the book there on Amazon.
Correct. That's what the name is. Love Yourself, Love Your Life. And some other books too I've written.
Yeah, great talking with you today. Words can be like weapons, or they can be your sword and badge of courage. So use them wisely, whether it's up here or here.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Great having you on, and look forward to next time we get together.
Okay, me too. Take care, Steve.
You too.
Great.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.